Acast powers the world's best podcasts. Here's a show that we recommend.
What do you do when no one else is watching? What do you do that makes you happy for no reason at all? What are you obsessed with? I'm Leslie Arfin, and I'm a writer, but I'm also a dancer, a painter, a vapor, a dollhouse enthusiast, and basically just an overall hobbyist. My podcast, Filling the Void, is all about what other people are fanatically into. We talk about hobbies, even if you don't have one.
Listen to Filling the Void on Tuesdays on the Arios Network and subscribe wherever you get your podcasts.
Acast helps creators launch, grow, and monetize their podcasts everywhere. Acast.com.
Hi, it's Dave here and I'm with my wife Kathy.
Hello.
And we're going to the cinema. It's Friday night. It's just the two of us. It's date night. It's 9 p.m. It's way past our bedtime.
Yes. And we're going to a horror movie. For obvious reasons. It's almost Halloween.
Yeah, almost. And we're going to a movie called Halloween.
Is that what it's called? Halloween?
Yeah, it's called Halloween. What did you think we were going to?
No, I knew it was... I just thought there was another bit to the title.
Oh, well, interesting you say that, because
I thought it was going to be like...
Feckin' should be.
Halloween something, part 2.
This is the third movie in the Halloween franchise to be called Halloween.
Right, okay.
And nothing else. So there was the original Halloween in 1978. Then Rob Zombie remade Halloween. A reboot, so to speak, about 10 years ago or so. And then there was even a Halloween 2. There's 2 Halloween 2s.
Okay.
Because he did a sequel to his reboot,
okay.
And there was obviously the original sequel.
Sounds amazing.
And this one, is a direct sequel to the first Halloween from 1978, but it's disregarding all other sequels.
Okay.
Which technically makes this Halloween 2.
Right. Or Halloween Part 2, as I said it should be called.
But this is the third Halloween 2,
okay.
Which would make it Halloween 2 Part 3.
And I have to confess that I have kind of seen some of the Halloween movies and get the gist of them, but have never sat and watched a full one.
Yeah.
What about you? Have you seen a lot of them?
I've seen quite a few.
It's the kind of movie that you're kind of like, yeah, I've seen bits of it. I don't care to go back and watch it again. But I'm actually excited to see this one because it's doing really well. Will I read you some fun facts?
Yes.
This is from Jamie Lee Curtis's Twitter.
Sounds like a lot of fun.
Biggest horror movie opening with a female lead. Biggest movie opening with a female lead over 55. Second biggest October movie opening ever, behind Venom, she didn't say.
What movie is she talking about?
She's talking about Halloween Part 2. And then biggest Halloween opening ever. So they're pretty big stats.
Biggest... hang on now, that last one's misleading. Is it the biggest Halloween opening ever, or is it the biggest Halloween opening ever?
I don't know, we should tweet Jamie Lee Curtis.
Well, clearly it's not Halloween right now, so it's not the biggest Halloween opening ever.
Interesting.
Which means it's the biggest Halloween opening ever.
Right, Jamie, we'll be questioning you on that last one. But other than that, I'm all for it. So I mean, I don't go to horror movies ever. We've done very few on this podcast. We went to, what was the one we went to a few months ago with your friend Alex?
Hereditary.
Hereditary, that was scary. And is that the only one we've ever done on this podcast?
We also, we're about to do another Halloween movie. As in we're doing a Halloween, not the series. We're doing a movie. So last year we did a poll asking people to pick on Twitter.
A scary movie. Let's use the word scary, not Halloween.
Scary movie that Kathy hadn't seen.
And we saw The Exorcist, which we both really liked.
So we did that again this year. So that poll is now on our Twitter at the Cinemile. It's probably going to be finished by the time you've heard this. Or you're hearing this.
At the moment, I think The Sixth Sense is ahead, and I'm like, yeah, but I know the ending of Sixth Sense, so I don't know if there's any point in me watching the movie.
Well, we'll talk about that when and if you're watching it. So we will either be watching this weekend The Sixth Sense, the original Halloween from 1978, The Wicker Man from the 70s, forget the 73, and The Lost Boys.
Which I want to see, but is coming third. But yeah, anyway, we're rambling on. We don't normally go to horror movies. This is the third or fourth horror movie of this podcast in a lot of episodes. So yeah, exciting times.
All right, so we'll see you on the other side of Halloween. The movie, not the date. Are you all right?
Oh, that was a ghost. That wasn't me.
Oh no! Dear God.
He's waited for this night. He's waited for me. I've waited for him.
Get out of the room! Get inside!
You don't believe in the boogeyman?
He's here!
Michael! You should.
And therein lies the best part of the movie.
No, did you not enjoy it?
Do you know what? It started so strongly. I was like, this is really confident. I really enjoy it. Obviously appreciated the fact that there was a podcast plot. I really enjoyed Jamie Lee Curtis, and I thought the setup was really strong, honestly.
Yeah.
So there's a lot to say for this movie. I think it's a good movie, I really do. But for me, by the end, I was a little bit over it and got bored by the end and felt that it dragged a bit.
Do you think it was good, though?
Oh, I think it's a very serviceable horror movie. I think it was good, and I really enjoyed a lot of the direction. I thought there was good flair to it.
Yeah, same. I feel like we should give a quick synopsis of where we are here, just for anybody who's unaware of what the Halloween thing is all about. So it's been 40 years since the first one. All the other ones have been ignored.
So 40 years since Jamie Lee Curtis was the victim when loads of her friends or whatever were murdered, and she survived, and she's grown into this world-weary woman who lives in kind of a fort and has had quite a sad life. And that was interesting, the exploration of how a victim lives her life after this. I found that really compelling. And like how her relationship with her daughter suffered. And then 40 years later,
to the day,
Michael Myers, a day before, two really annoying, intrepid podcasters, was quite funny, show up with the same recorder as we do, or very similar to ours. And they're quite serious, and I think they're clearly supposed to be kind of serial-esque type people, and they want to get behind the story, and they want to interview Michael Myers and Jamie Lee Curtis. And anyway, they kind of set the whole thing off. And on Halloween, Mike Myers escapes. And terror ensues.
He escapes and there's murders, right?
Yeah. You're the one who wanted to do a synopsis.
Yeah, but you were taking forever.
Well, I don't know why we needed to do a synopsis at all. First of all, we're never that annoying when we're podcasting.
Right. Yeah, right.
Immediately I was like, they need to die.
They were so annoying, the two podcasters. And they kept making so many mistakes, like from a setup point of view.
So they're recording someone talking, and they're faced away from her. Like even I know what to do.
Not pointing the microphone at them.
And they didn't have the thing we have over ours, where you block wind.
Yeah, even though they were recording outside.
Yeah.
I mean, come on, guys.
Come on.
And there was also a really annoying bit where the podcasters are interviewing Jamie Lee Curtis in her own home, and she puts the recorder on a table, and then we get this wide shot of the living room, and they could not have been sitting further away from each other. There's no way that table was picking up anything from Jamie Lee Curtis.
But Dave, your thoughts on the movie? It's really cold. We need to. This is going to be the quickest cinema I'll ever.
I thought it was good. I thought it was a really decent little slasher flick. Decent
little slasher flick. We've established it's a very big slasher flick.
Yeah, whatever. I mean, horror movies are profitable. I don't pay attention to the box office, and it's not a sign of quality.
I'm not saying it's a sign. I'm saying this isn't a little horror flick.
It is. It is little. It was made for 10 million. That's why it's so. These movies are so profitable.
No, I'm not talking about. I'm just saying it's not like in the zeitgeist. It's a big deal. So don't dismiss it as a little flick.
Okay. Well, I'm gonna keep going with the word little because it is little. It's little in the grand scheme of things. I'm not gonna talk about this 5 years from now. It's not.
Oh, I'm not going to talk about it 5 minutes from now.
It's not. It didn't revolutionise anything. It was.
It's a very nice sequel, though.
Yeah, it's very well put together. It's got some lovely thematic ideas in here. Really fine performance from Jamie Lee Curtis. It ticks all the boxes you want from a Halloween movie, from a slasher movie, since this is the franchise that is the genesis of all those tropes. So it ticks all those boxes. It's fun. It's directorial flair. David Gordon Green, I think, is the name of the guy who did this, who's directed Pineapple Express, and actually one of the co-writers of this movie was Danny McBride.
Oh, yeah, I did notice that.
Yeah, so there's a lot of nice little comedic touches to this as well.
Yeah, there was a few laughs.
But it's confident. There's a whole section in the middle, this isn't a spoiler, but where there's a great tracking shot following Michael Myers around the neighbourhood, and I thought that was really
amazingly well done, yeah.
really well executed.
And it really captured the chaos of actually, if there was a serial killer on the loose on Halloween, that's scary because everyone's in costume and everyone's doors are open and it was really, we don't want to go spoilery, but yeah, that was an amazing shot. We actually both turned to each other and went, this is awesome, very quietly, of course.
That was the best
Did you
bit.
feel it lagging towards the end though?
Yeah, it's not a long movie by its running time, but it felt long, and I was quite just over it
At
about
the end, I felt
three-quarters
us
of the
both
way through.
like checking our watches at the same time.
Yeah, one too many sequences. I think it could have done with it maybe 20 minutes less.
I think it could have been scarier. Like for an 18s movie, there was no real scares for me.
It's difficult with this genre because it has been done to death. There's been 11 of these. Not only that, it's been aped for 40 years.
I know.
So there's no way, like, this movie doesn't really hold the Halloween original doesn't really hold a dear place in my heart because we're the kind of the wrong generation for this. We grew up in the 90s, so for me anyway, it was Scream.
Yeah, Scream.
Was the big one, and that in itself was a parody of the tropes that were set out by this movie 20 years previously. So this is so well established that when you're playing in this ball pit, it can't really be scary.
It could still be scary. Come on, there wasn't even any good jump scares, really. Like they could have.
There was lots of jump scares.
Yeah, but there was no moment where the whole audience kind of gasped, or when you're at a horror movie and there can be really fun communal gasps. I didn't feel that in the screening.
But it was suspenseful. It was sufficiently suspenseful.
It was sufficiently suspenseful. I'll agree with that. I think we should get to sufficiently suspenseful Spoiler Street.
All right.
It's very cold.
Turning onto Spoiler Street now for Halloween.
Okay, so Spoiler Street, my real only point is they spent so long setting up Jamie Lee Curtis's potential house of horrors, right? Like we're talking Macaulay Culkin in Home Alone, this trap she's setting. And then when it gets down to it, so she makes this big fuss of, for example, we need to have all the lights off. Yet she walks around with the flashlight, immediately drawing attention to herself wherever she goes. She has mannequins everywhere. Why? Why are there mannequins all over your house? You're not doing anything with them. And when it actually comes to hunting Mike Myers, he hides behind a fucking mannequin and you can't find him, okay? Yeah. So what are you doing? It was pathetic. That was her strategy. And then it didn't come together for me at the end with her, the daughter and the granddaughter, and that whole trapping him in the basement thing.
No, I liked that. That worked for me.
But it didn't work for me because it didn't feel like they deserved it. It felt like an accident that they got him down there. I didn't feel like he'd been lured. Like, why was Jamie Lee Curtis searching room by room and then caging off each room as she searched it?
That was clever.
Cage them off before he ever gets there, so he has no rooms to go into.
Yeah, but if he's in there, you've trapped him, and if he's not in there, he's one less room to go to.
No, I don't buy it. It's not. Just live in a smaller house. Like, if I wanted to live in a house that was really impenetrable, I wouldn't live in one that's that big and full of mannequins and has balconies off rooms.
It's a top tip. If you're going to trap a serial killer, do it in a 2-bed semi.
And just stay down in the basement. Like, they were perfectly safe, and then they all left the basement.
No, but I was thinking that the whole time. Like, what are you doing? You're all idiots. But then it turned out that it was all a trap.
It wasn't a cage. It was a trap.
Yeah, so to be fair, it did kind of make sense then.
The bit I found interesting was the stuff about how Jamie Lee Curtis's daughter, how she was raised, which was like feral, and she was raised to be, always feeling like she needed to protect herself and be hunted, and like had a really fucked up childhood.
Yeah.
And the social services came when she was 12 and took her away. But that's interesting, and I wanted to know, well, how did social services know? Who called them?
Okay, they should have spent way more time on that,
yeah,
because
Judy Greer's
character wasn't developed enough.
No.
Because Judy Greer ended up just playing the same suburban mom that we've seen her play in the last 10 roles.
Yeah.
And she's a really good actress and a really good comedic actress, and I just like to see her do something a bit more interesting, and they didn't give her enough to work with, even though that was the most interesting plot.
Yeah, it was really interesting.
They could have focused way more on that stuff and her mother's relationship, which we didn't get, wasn't established enough for the payoff at the end to be rewarding. And what they could have done to focus more on that is cut the podcasters completely because they were pointless cannon
Well, they
fodder.
were kind of the impetus to the whole thing, though.
Yeah, but it was
I
pretty
enjoyed
pointless.
them. Yeah, but they were gone within 10 minutes.
Cut-
I think they should have cut the granddaughter. We do not need to see
Yeah.
another teenager at a school dance having a fight with her boyfriend.
That's exactly what I was
running
gonna
into
say.
the forest.
The boyfriend plot went nowhere.
Yeah.
Didn't have a resolution. Was pointless. It was really, she was only there to have friends that Michael Myers could kill.
Yeah.
Because you have to have teenagers having sex.
Actually, the only person in the movie that I genuinely had any feelings about dying was the friend, the blonde babysitter. I really liked her.
she was great.
She's such a good actress, and I need to look her up because
Oh,
I recognise her.
let's do it
Really
live.
annoying me. No,
You
let's
talk.
not do it live, please.
Okay,
But
so-
anyway, she's the only one I actually cared
heard
that she
from someone.
died. And I really enjoyed the relationship she had with the little kid she was
Yes, that
babysitting.
stuff was great.
But again, this isn't a movie about babysitters being killed. This is Jamie Lee Curtis's story and her daughter's story, and don't bother doing all that stuff as well. And that's probably where they could have shaved the time off.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, I just found that stuff not compelling. And like you said, we've seen it in Scream, even if we've not seen the original Halloween.
Well, that's the problem. They're in a little bit of a tricky situation because they want to do something. All the stuff that was new and interesting, which was the Jamie Lee Curtis daughter, granddaughter, all that relationship stuff was interesting. But it's still a Halloween movie, and they want to tick the boxes. So you have to have the teenagers, and you have to have the knife, and blah 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 blah.
I did enjoy all the knife shots. I enjoyed the knives coming.
Yeah, there's a lot of knifing.
Yeah, but yeah, I think look, there's not much. Honestly, I think we should stop talking because it's really cold. It's so cold. The temperatures just dropped really suddenly tonight.
Do you think if we stop talking, you'll get warmer instantly?
I think yeah. But I definitely think. I mean, I see why it's a success. I enjoyed it for the most part, but by the end was like, oh, when's this going to end?
Yeah, same.
Yeah. But I love.
Did
I
you
mean,
know-
the music was the highlight. The use of the music. Even
such
I
a good thing.
recognise the music, and as I said, I don't think I've ever really seen the movies.
Did you know that Michael Myers' mask is a William Shatner mask?
No, but his mask's properly scary. I genuinely did think that. Do we know? Is it the same actor playing him? No, we don't know.
I don't know.
Hopefully someone will tell us.
Go listen
mean,
to a proper movie podcast if you want these
end,
answers.
at the end, it doesn't really matter because we never saw his face, and it was clearly a young man in the body. Like once the mask was on, it was just a young man walking around in that suit, like a stunt double. or
I
whatever.
like that they never give you a full glimpse of his face. That the little teasers
It's like,
of it
what
are
horror's
a lot
live, and
scarier.
I just loved when the podcasters were goading him. I just thought, oh, I cannot wait for you
That
guys
was-
to die. But even
That guy was such a
The
tool.
podcast guy was
The way
so
at the
annoying.
beginning he's holding the mask. You can feel it, can't you,
Yeah, that
Michael?
was weird.
You can feel
But I
it.
thought all that stuff in the mental institution was really scary. Like I was loving all that stuff.
Yeah,
And
the
then
yellow
suddenly-
line was a good little
Yeah,
touch.
and so like I would say the opening kind of 20 minutes I really loved and was really surprising myself. And I think they were probably the more original bits.
And the bit after the bus has first of all, I love that they didn't show us the bus crash.
Same, yeah.
Very clever.
That was so good. And that little kid going around shooting people was a surprise.
Yeah, even that bit was interesting. But
Yeah.
just like there's a lot of lovely little moments like that with the father and the son in the car, and then they come upon the bus crash, and then you just see the people in white walking on either side of the car.
That was scary.
That's a scary setup.
Actually, do you know, I think I've just pinpointed the moment it all went downhill. It was after that amazing tracking shot of him on Halloween night and the babysitter being killed. And then it was just business as usual.
It's a little bit all over the place. It's
Yeah.
kind of a movie in several parts.
Yeah.
And they don't all gel together. But there's a lot of really fine ideas in here, I thought. And I thought it was fun. And I think if you're listening to this a year from now and it's available on your television right now, I would have no problem recommending it for a sort of Friday night popcorn, few beers kind
You're
of
not
vibe.
recommending it for the cinema then?
I don't know. I think if you're a diehard Halloween fan, maybe, but I guess it's fine. I don't know. Depends on whether
Yeah,
you think you get
it's fine.
value out of spending £15
Yeah.
on this. I probably wouldn't.
But what I would say you should do is you should subscribe to the Cinema on Spotify because we're now on
seamless
Spotify.
segue.
Yeah. Which we're very excited by.
Yeah, we're on Spotify.
Yeah.
You might be listening to us on Spotify right now.
One of our 10 listeners on Spotify, hello.
Yeah.
You can also subscribe on Apple Podcasts, and if you do so, we'd love you to leave us a lovely review or anywhere else you listen to podcasts, and also subscribe to us on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. We do lots of fun things on Twitter and Instagram in particular. We do lots of nice polls, and you get to pick movies we're going to review, so please follow us there, and thanks for listening.
Good night, everybody. Be safe.
Good night. Lock your windows, okay?
I met this 6-year-old child with this blank, pale, emotionless face and the blackest eyes, the devil's eyes. I spent 8 years trying to reach him, and then another 7 trying to keep him locked up, because I realized that what was living behind that boy's eyes was purely and simply evil.
Acast powers the world's best podcasts. Here's a show that we recommend.
I'm Jessie Cruikshank, and I've always been told I have a face for podcasting. So I launched a podcast. It's called Phone a Friend because each week I'll break down the biggest stories in pop culture. But when I have questions, I get to phone a friend. I'll phone a royal watcher to find out why Prince Harry is acting like a real housewife. I'll phone a tween to please explain Euphoria. And maybe I'll even phone a Backstreet Boy to find out if I still have a chance. I don't? Okay. New episodes drop every Thursday wherever you get your podcasts.
Acast helps creators launch, grow, and monetize their podcasts everywhere. Acast.com.